Hi. Do you have an obsession? Do you have something that you're fanatical about, or that you kind of think about all the time, or talk about all the time? That drives other people crazy. I do, and that is watches. Um, my wife kind of gets that like kind of look on her face when I see a watch shop, or I see an antique shop that has watches in it or something. She's like, she does that little sigh where a little tiny bit of her soul leaves her body. You know what I mean? Like she's like, ugh, here we go again. Um, Anyway, yeah, so I love watches, and I'm going to get into that today. But before I do, I just wanted to say welcome to Coffee at the Crossroads. I'm Bill. If you're new here, thank you for coming. If you're a returning viewer, that's awesome. Thank you so much. I'm trying to build a community here, and I'm trying to, engage with people and share stories and share stuff and share my passions and things like that. And so I need people to come and watch this channel, right? So thank you so much for doing that. So yeah, watches. I love old watches. I love new watches. I love like even the cheap ones and the expensive ones. And I'm fascinated by the technology around them and by the styles and how things have changed through the years. And yeah, and I wanted to do this as part of Coffee at the Crossroads because I did a video a while ago when we were traveling about my favorite travel watch. And it really took off. It's by far my most viewed video. So it really struck me that obviously it's a topic that resonates with people. And I thought I was just a little weird watch guy, right? And that people didn't share that kind of passion. But it turns out that they do. So that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to talk about watches and about my collection and what why I love them, and specifically today about how I got started. I wasn't born obsessed with watches, but yeah, it is the sort of technology behind the functionality of it. Even an old mechanical wristwatch that has always kind of blown me away. That some smart person figured out how to make a bunch of little wheels and gears and attach them to a spring and to make them so accurate that they can keep time, like that. It still blows me away. I don't totally understand how it works, to be honest. It's a little bit like magic. And that's maybe why I love them so much. So, yeah, so where did it all start? It all started actually with this watch that I'm wearing right here, and I've got some photos of it that we'll get some close up better footage. This is a, I'll see if I can, I'm going to put that up. This is a Tissot PR50. You're not going to be able to see that, but I've got good photos of it. So this was an anniversary present. My wife and I had been married 10 years, and I bought us his and hers watches as an anniversary gift. And so she's got the little matching ladies watch that matches this exactly. Yeah, and so that's sort of where the watch collecting started. It was something I've always loved watches, and so it was something I thought it was a good gift. Partly for myself, but partly for her. And I thought we'd have matching watches, and I thought that was romantic or whatever. There's a whole bunch of women watching going, oh my God, that is the least romantic thing. I get it. It's my thing. But, I wanted to do something for us. And what's interesting is they've been fantastic watches. Now, these are quartz watches. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit about quartz watches. And for those of you that don't know the difference between a quartz watch and a mechanical watch and an automatic watch, I'll get into that a little bit. But we bought these. They've been great watches. My wife wears hers, I wear mine, and we have our little matching watches. And I think it's super cool. And now these were gifts for our 10th anniversary. We're coming up to our 29th anniversary. So these fantastic watches are almost 19 years old, and they still, obviously, they function perfectly, and they're still great looking watches in terms of the fashion, the kind of the classic styling. And so they haven't ever gone out of style, and so it's been a really great purchase. So for all of you that think that buying your wife a watch is a bad thing, I disagree. So anyway, that's it. Like I said, I've got some photographs of them, some close up. I know in my last video I got some flack for shaky video and the watch, pictures of the watch being out of focus and stuff. So I've taken some stills. I'm really proud of this watch. Obviously, it holds immense meaning for me because it was an anniversary gift. It's been a trusted friend for the last 19 years, and it's been really great. The one drawback to it, as I mentioned, is that it's a quartz watch. And now many of you probably have quartz watches and they suit your lifestyle, and that's fantastic. No judgments here. I, being a bit of a watch aficionado, if you can call it that, or a watch geek, I wish it was an automatic. For those of you that don't know, quartz is battery operated. Mechanical means you have to wind it up to wind up the spring, and automatic means that spring gets wound by the movement of the watch. A little rotor goes around and winds the watch. That's the watch 101: quartz, mechanical, and automatic. And they all have they all have their uses. They all have their purpose. And for people that aren't watch people, having a battery that you can change once every couple of years or 3 years, and it keeps perfect time and it does all that stuff, that's great. And the reality is that quartz movements are really accurate. And so they are, if you're not a watch person and you just want to have a watch that keeps good time, then great. Go out and get yourself a quartz watch. They tend to be much cheaper. Obviously, all those little, for mechanical watches and automatic watches, all those little gears that run around inside and have to do the things that make the watch actually keep time, and have to they tie into the little escapement and all of that stuff, and they take the charge from the spring and then and carry it through and keep accurate time. All of that technology is complicated, and so obviously you're going to pay more for a mechanical watch, and you're going to pay more for an automatic watch, and so that's the kind of that's the sort of short story behind it. And most kind of watch geeks, watch aficionados, or the purists prefer a mechanical over a quartz watch, and then prefer an automatic over a mechanical. Now, of course, there are exceptions to every rule, but that's just a kind of rule of thumb. So this, I wish I'd bought an automatic. I could have bought these in automatic. They were considerably more expensive. We had been married for 10 years. We had young children at the time. It was fiscally prudent for me to save some money and to, I still spent a considerable amount of money to buy these watches, but it was that much more to buy the automatic version. And at the time, I made the choice that was right for our family. But looking back now, I'm proud of this watch and I love this watch, and it's a great watch. But there's a part of me that wishes that it was an automatic, right? Because I'm a bit of a purist. So that's the story behind it. Just a little bit of a background. This is a Tissot, as I mentioned, and Tissot is a Swiss brand. And for those of you that are new to the kind of watch world, Switzerland is where arguably the best watches are made. That's where Patek Philippe and Rolex and Omega and all the big name brands are they're Swiss watches typically. There are some good French watches, and there are some good American watches, and all those kind of things. And because watchmaking has become a bit of a kind of a boutique business, there are some small watch manufacturers in the UK, and there's around the world that are making really fine watches. But Tissot is a very accessible Swiss brand, and it's a great quality Swiss watch without paying those premium prices that you would pay for an Omega or a Rolex or some of the other, a JLC or some of the other brands. So that's the story of my anniversary watch, my first purchase. That is where the obsession started. And I'm going to be sharing other stories as I go on in this, take you through some of the watches in my collection and why I love them and where I got them and the stories behind them. And because that's ultimately, that to me is what makes collecting something makes it important. It also, it's, with watches, there is a story behind it. When you buy a vintage watch, from the 50s, well, that watch is 70 years old, and it's been on someone's wrist, and it's been through ups and downs in that person's life, and it's, the styles have changed and the functionalities have changed, and new watches do new things and do all this stuff. And so that stuff fascinates me. And you know what? Ultimately, this watch is just a thing, right? It's just a thing, but it represents something to me, and I think that that's what makes them compelling. And so that's what I want to do. I want to share some of these stories, the stories around my watches, and how I came to collect them, and in some cases, some of the companies don't even exist anymore. They've gone bust or whatever, but the watch is still there. It's a testament to the technology from 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago. And that's fascinating stuff. So that's really the story. My anniversary watch and how it became an obsession for me. And so, yeah, so that's it. So thank you for watching. If you got this far, if you haven't turned off or fallen asleep or whatever, thank you for watching. And I'm going to do more of these. And I'd love to hear in the comments if you have a favorite watch, or maybe your uncle had a watch, or your grandpa had a watch, or something like that. And there's always that nostalgia around it, and it brings back memories. Or maybe your grandmother. I don't mean to engender this. Like, there's lots of women are passionate about watches as well. So maybe someone in your family had a watch collection, or had a single watch that meant so much to them, or that's how one of the things you remember them. I'd love to hear those stories. Or tell me, if you're obsessed with watches, tell me what was the watch that you bought, or do you have a dream watch? Do you have a watch that, if you won the lottery, what would you go out and buy? That kind of thing. Watches can be expensive. It can be an expensive hobby, but it doesn't have to be. That's an important note. But anyway, that's a story for another time. I'm going to sign off. Thank you very much for watching. As I said, I'm Bill. This is Coffee at the Crossroads, and I hope you join me again. Cheers.